This is how it ends. Not with a bang. Not even with something as insignificant as a whimper. It ends with acceptance. It ends with a legion of hollow men turning the other cheek and allowing the fists that no longer hold or able to feel beat an aggressive impotence against the walls of civilization. No bang, no whimper. Silence. Until the noise of creation starts anew and the newest cycle begins to spin. For the old may pass into shadow, but new life will always take first breath in the new light. In other words, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Fluffenhammer. I'm still sleep deprived.
Every man lives, not every man truly dies. To be honest, reeling from so much, not least of which are the reveals that Games Workshop have just come out with.
That's so much. That's so much.
Right.
I'm actually going to. I want to talk about this for a second.
Yeah,
so
sure.
I actually sat yesterday from 2 o'clock onwards in the chat on Twitch. Never really used Twitch before.
Oh, you've never actually got onto the Twitch. There's a couple of like Let's Players who have moved onto it that I watch occasionally.
I've had Twitch on in the background, but I've never engaged with it.
Yeah.
So to speak, right?
It's a rabbit hole. It's a rabbit hole. There are whole subcultures on Twitch that are really interesting. A lot of, this is a total tangent, but a lot of the crazes that I used to bait a while back on YouTube, who were really properly just paranoid conspiracy theorists and religious fundamentalists and whatnot. They've kind of retreated from YouTube to Twitch these days.
Really?
And it's fascinating being on a feed with them, I can tell you.
Oh man, is there like some kind of weird flat earther Twitch channel?
Oh, you wouldn't believe. There's people who believe in like the David Icke, Nibiru, reptilian conspiracy theory stuff. They're great. They are so much
know
fun.
what I'm doing tonight.
They are so much fun, I've got to tell you. I mean, I don't like argue with them. There's no point, I just sit and listen, sit and watch and just marvel at them because they're wonderful. They are wonderful.
I've said for a while now that the last thing I want to do is poke fun at people who do flat earth, the anti-vaxxers, the David Icke lizard men theories. What I want to do is I want to try and get them to engage with me so I can try to get where they're coming from.
It's fascinating.
Absolutely, it's fascinating.
They often come across as very lucid, as very, against the stereotype, as being very lucid, as being within their own circular assumptions, very well reasoned. The problem is the assumptions upon which those sort of logical strains are based are completely fallacious, completely faulty. Yeah. But they are, and they're elaborate as well, particularly the ones who believe in the reptilian stuff.
Oh, it's a house of cards.
Oh my
amazing.
God, the circumlocutions that they go through in their minds to try and justify why they believe what they believe or what is absolute. They are incredible.
Oh yeah.
It's like imagination on overdrive,
Well, I've said for a while now, do flat earthers truly believe in a flat earth, or are they just people so desperate to be a part of something that they will go for it because the flat earth theory will accept anyone?
I think that's largely it. There is a thing going on with identity here.
Yeah.
And it's the desperate need for identity is commingled with this sort of counterculture prescribed identity, and has become something that people very, very, very positively identify with, in the same way that they used to say religion or something to that effect, or prescriptions of like culture or nationalism, which largely, I mean, which have been revealed really in the 21st century as being completely hollow.
Hmm.
The problem
Yeah.
is, rather than questioning the very notion of identity, they've gone and identified with something else. You know.
That's an interesting point to make, and this is not the place or time to have this
No, no,
discussion.
wait.
But
By the way, Fluffenhammer.
I'm
By
I'm
the way, this is the
fascinated.
Fluffenhammer. This is the
It is.
Fluffenhammer. I just want to. We will talk about Games Workshop. You know, we will.
But the idea of yeah, are we as a species so in need of that cultish type behavior, the big beard in the sky, the giant wagging finger telling us no, that we will go off and create our own pathways to get that?
I think what it is, I think it probably is biologically ingrained. It's probably a fault of our evolutionary history, but we desperately crave
Oh,
prescribed identity. That's largely what it is. It's that desperate, like, evolutionary need, which is probably based in like our survivalist history. You know, obviously
mhm.
we found our safety in small groups, small
Yeah,
tribal
yeah.
groups once upon a time, and the way they strengthen their cohesion is by introducing ideology and folktale and fairy stories to sort of cohere it, you know, to make it absolute. There's more it can't just be literal. You know, you can't
Yeah.
wander off into the woods because there are poisonous things, there are creatures that will kill and eat you. You
Hmm.
can't just tell people that. It's got to be some demon from the pit. You know, it's got to be something you identify with. It's got to be
Oh,
something
yeah, yeah.
that is exaggerated, and that just seems to be what we are. It seems to be what the way the species works. You know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you go. I know we've very briefly touched on it in the past, but the Aboriginal myth cycle is
Hmm.
it's one of those things that absolutely fascinates me, purely because it's built around the idea that the narrative that they tell is faulty,
Yeah.
but it's all there to teach you how to live.
It's so strange, isn't it? I mean, it's varied from culture to culture, and you'll find different strains of it and different permutations throughout human culture and history. I mean, Shintoism is largely the same. There isn't there are certain subcults of Shintoism that believe literally in the stories, but by
Yeah.
and large they're marketed as being metaphorical.
Hmm.
The same was true in certain areas of ancient Greece. So when like Athenian philosophers told stories of Orpheus and Eurydice, for example, they didn't literally believe that these things had happened.
Yeah.
They were there to teach you certain things about the way human beings work. I mean, and don't get me wrong, that's not universally true either. There were
No, no.
subcults within Greek society that believed literally in Zeus and Athena and whatnot, but they were very small.
Hmm.
They were very small, and they were often ridiculed. They were often ridiculed because the stories were not intended to be that.
Yeah, I mean, it's very true. The same with a lot of the Egyptian myth, and
Hmm.
one of my favorite ones, of course, is the fact that the Norse myths were never meant to be anything more than bawdy carry-on films for the time.
Right.
You know,
It's
it's
fascinating, isn't it?
people
Absolutely
forget that the Norse
fascinating.
myths are funny.
Yeah, oh yeah, they are. They're really
Yeah,
funny. A lot of the ancient Greek ones are as well. I mean,
yeah, yeah.
they're often cruelly funny.
Hmm.
I mean, you know, a lot of the ancient Greek ones. It's hard to tell with the ancient Greek ones whether they are tragedies or comedies sometimes.
A tragedy and comedy go hand in hand,
They
as
do.
the old saying goes.
They do, which the ancient Greeks knew very, very well.
Yeah.
Very well indeed. I mean, it's funny, isn't it? That's something that hasn't really filtered down into AOS as such, or even into Warhammer. You don't really get that many allusions to ancient Greek mythology, barring the likes of minotaurs and whatnot.
Yeah, the
Like,
D&D
the literal
pulls.
monsters are there.
Yeah.
The literal
Um,
monsters are there.
I want to say that there is a something in 40k that's got a heavy Greek feel, but I can't think what it is. I mean, I suppose the argument you could make there is
Oh,
that
the Eldar, the Eldari.
I suppose, yeah, from a narrative point of view,
The
they do have
Eldari
a very
gods,
Greek.
the Eldari gods are the Greek
Yeah,
gods, or
yeah,
the
yeah.
Roman gods. It's they're both the same pretty much, just with different names because the Romans just stole, you know,
Yeah.
just completely took everything from ancient Greece. But no, they are. I mean, you've got Vol, who is Hephaestus. You've got Kila Metzarkain, who is Ares. You've got
Hmm.
Aisha, who is Gaia. Zeus would have been Ajayan,
Yep.
and so on and so forth. You know, there are direct parallels in certainly the Ajiani, not so much the Drukhari. The Drukhari don't worship gods. They don't have any truck with gods. They have the dark muses instead.
Hmm.
And muses, I mean, muses themselves, of course, are ancient Greek principles of art and literature and whatnot. So you have like Calliope and Terpsichore and these creatures who are like manifest disciplines, basically. They are personifications of certain human disciplines, which is kind of cool, really. The Drukhari have taken that and they've created the dark muses, who are personifications of all the very worst things imaginable.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's like a dark muse of assassination, for example, and there's a dark muse of backstabbing politics, and actually recently Asdrubal Vecht has become a dark muse.
Yes, that's very
He
true,
was
actually. Yeah.
elevated to the status of dark muse because of his resurrection, which was spectacular. Anyone who, by the way, read the current Drukhari Codex. Ooh, Ooh, the stuff that goes on in there. He's basically assassinated, isn't he? He's killed by nobody knows who organized it, but there's like a horde of mandrakes manifest and just slaughter him. And they
Hmm.
also kill all of his clone bodies as well. All of the clone bodies of Asdrubal Vec wither. So he is dead. He is absolutely, completely, 100% dead for a stretch of Comorite time, basically. And then he comes back. He orchestrates somehow his own resurrection. And as a result of that, he solidifies his power in Comora because no one would dare try to touch him again.
Yeah, yeah.
No one
You've
would
been
dare.
absolutely killed to death,
Yeah,
and yet you came
and
back.
yet he came back. And not only did he come back, but he made an absolute example of all of the other cabals and their overlords. Even some of the ones that were loyal to him, he had them killed. Some of them
No.
even he ordered them to sort of fall on their own blades. It's sort of like as a demonstration of their loyalty.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
he is in charge.
You've reminded me of something I was actually going to bring up. Um, not as much dark. Well, it's not
Hmm.
Dark Eldar at all, but talking about gods and Eldar, the
Hmm.
Eldari. You reminded me of something that I was reading last week that
Hmm.
I put into my brain and went, right, must talk to George about
Oh,
this,
okay.
and that is the war in heaven.
Hmm.
Right. So, what is your understanding of the 40k war in heaven?
The War in Heaven, is that the war that was between the Slann and the what would become the Necrons?
Kind of. What I didn't realize is it's been upgraded quite dramatically since
Right,
then.
okay.
So the how I understand it now, because that's what I thought it was as
Yeah,
well.
that's what it used to be once upon a time.
And also the
The
Eldar
the
had a
Eldar were involved, yeah.
yeah.
They helped the Slann. I mean, there's even some theories that the Slann created the Eldar to help.
Yeah, well, that doesn't seem to be a theory anymore. That
That's
seems to be
true.
the
That's
yeah.
absolutely true, yeah.
So what I didn't realize was I always knew that the Slann, well, the great old ones,
The
as
great
they
old ones.
yeah
They're the Slann.
yeah they're the Slann.
They're the Slann.
Them damn frogs.
Yeah.
Um, they created the Orcs and Eldar to
Mm.
fight the
To
Necrontyr.
fight the Necrontyr and the star gods that were sort
Yeah,
of
the
driving
Catan.
them on.
Yeah,
Yeah, the Catan. Yeah, yeah. So there is almost like a definite background now. There's
yeah,
an
yeah.
origin for the Orcs and the Eldari. I mean,
Hmm.
there is a theory out there, isn't there? The Tyranids may be the creations of the Old Ones as well. They may be a tool for getting rid of chaos,
Maybe actually,
which would make
I
sense.
didn't come across that one, but yeah, I can see
That
that.
would make
I can
sense
see
because,
that. Yeah.
how do you get rid of chaos? Well, you wipe out all sentient life.
Mm.
That's
But
how you do it.
What I also discovered was it wasn't just those two races that the Great Old Ones created. They also created the Jokero,
Yeah, yeah, the
my
monkeys,
favorite orangutans,
the gorillas, yeah.
and the Harud.
And the Hrud, yes, who seem to be in the background a lot these days. Are
I'm
they
convinced we are going to get a
are they
Harud
building?
codex at some point.
Are they
I hope
building? I mean,
so.
maybe it won't be just a Hrud codex. Maybe what they're going to do is like a Xenos codex.
That would be cool. Just like
Just like
Xenos mercenaries type.
yeah, like the races that maybe aren't coherent enough to have
Hmm.
like a whole codex. But there's already examples of that. I mean, if you look at the Drakari Codex, there's the courts of the Archons have got aliens in them. They've got
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Scythes and the those weird kind of gangrel golem things. I can't remember what they're called. But yeah, that would make sense. That would definitely make sense.
Yeah, I would love to see something like that. Just because the Harud have been kicking around for so long now,
They
it'd be
have in the
nice to actually see
background.
them. Yeah.
And you've also got things they could include like the big beetle thing. What's it called? The from Blackstone Fortress.
Oh, yeah. Oh God, the drone
I want to
things.
say Umber Hulk, but that's not it. The Umber Hulk is the
No,
D&D thing.
Umble.
The Amble, that's it. The
Yeah.
Amble, yeah.
I was actually thinking of the little drone creatures
Mm.
from Blackstone
Oh,
Fortress.
those two.
The
Those
spindle
two.
spindle drones.
Where are they from?
I want an army of spindle drones.
I want to know
What
where they come from.
I
Definitely.
well, they came from the Blackstone. They're
Mm.
actually part of
They're
the
part of
the
the
build.
architecture,
Yeah,
aren't they?
but
But
I
yeah.
want to try and make an entire army of nothing but spindle drones, just charging forward, devouring everything in
Mm.
their path.
But
They're
that's
amazing.
it's kind of the fun of the little game systems like Blackstone Fortress and like Necromunda to a lesser degree. They can use them as sort of like testing pads for new
Yeah,
races,
yeah.
which is a great thing. I mean, there's
I'm bringing old races back because we've got a
well,
goddamn Zote.
yeah, the Zotes are back, which no one ever expected. They were gone. There was the longest period. But then again, everyone said the same thing about Gene Stealer cults.
True. Yeah.
And they're back. Gene Stealer cults are well into the background now.
Yeah. How embedded have the Gene Stealer cults become?
Well, they're great, aren't they? I mean, they're so much fun. I mean, I prefer the Gene Stealer cults to the Tyranids myself, because I like the human aspect of them.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what it is. It's the narrative aspect. I love the Tyranids. They've got this wonderful sort of like bio horror thing going on, this very sort
Hmm.
of HR Giga thing going on, which is great. But you can't personify them.
No,
They
no.
all they do, they don't have any motivation other than to consume.
Yes, that's all they.
That's it.
Yeah. There's a guy that I saw who's done a Tyranid contingent for his Gene Stealer cult army,
Oh, right, okay.
and it's all mecha um, style stuff. So like
Right.
the Broodlord is a little cult member
Uh-huh.
inside this walking exosuit.
Right,
It's all
okay.
stuff like that. It is the Red Terror that he's done is
Uh-huh.
it's a thing of beauty. It's just this giant tunneling mecha worm.
Oh,
It's
that's fun.
oh,
Yeah, I like that very much. That's very cool indeed.
it's just one of those amazing bits of brain power. Who sits down and works this stuff
Mm.
out?
It's
Because whoever they
impressive,
are,
isn't
I
it?
want to shake you by the hand.
Yeah, it is impressive stuff. I love that kind of thing. Where people take the rules and they look at like the units and they think, okay, so how can I really reinterpret that to
Yeah,
mean
yeah.
something else, to be something else, to be my own creation?
Hmm.
Love that to bits. Lots of time for that. And it seems to be
Absolutely.
like actively encouraged at the moment.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, as long as you are only using GW parts,
Yeah.
GW will share out your work.
Yeah, it's so cool. I mean, it happens a lot in Necromunda,
Yeah,
where you've
yeah.
got like, because in Necromunda, I mean, I've been reading the Gangs of the Underhive book, and that is so good. It's
Hmm.
such a fun read because Necromunda is there's such a rich history in Necromunda.
Yeah, I mean,
You
it's
know?
why I did that Necromunda Historica series
Yeah,
because
it's
the,
brilliant.
and first and foremost, it is absolutely brilliant. There is tons and tons and tons of lore you can dig into,
Yeah.
but it's all bleakly hilarious.
It is. It's funny, isn't it? There is definitely like a gallows sort of 2000 AD sense of humor
Oh, it
going
is
on here.
2000 AD right the way through its heart. It's beautiful for doing that.
I mean, I came up with this creature I really want to make for Necromunda. I called him Fairweather, and he's like a floating droid. He's like this floating robot that's like he's orb shaped, and he's got tendrils that come down. So he looks really monstrous, but he's called Fairweather because he is programmed to be absolutely survivalist. He's like the last remaining, he's like the last remnants of a ship that crash landed on Necromunda, and its survivalist protocols kicked in, and it created this shell for itself. So it's like the corrupted machine spirit of a spaceship that crashed, and the
That's
remnants
cool.
of crew all sort of biomantically entangled inside of it. And it's called Fairweather because it shifts personalities depending on who it's dealing with. So if it's dealing with the Goliaths, it'll be really masculine and really sort of like, you know, and it makes friends. It makes friends with people. But the minute it's dealing with someone else, it shifts. It changes personality, and it will turn on whoever's like its best friend, basically.
Once all of the current real world situation writes itself out,
Yes, of course.
I have an idea.
Hmm.
Um, should I go? Yeah, why not? Because I don't know how soon this will actually be something that
Right,
takes
right.
place, but I might as well talk about it here. So my idea is I want to try and rent out a hall somewhere,
Hmm.
right? Invite just say be here at this time.
Yeah.
Bring a small team of soldiers with you of
Yeah.
some description, and play the world's largest game of Inquisitor in
Oh,
28 millimeter scale.
that'd be
So,
fun.
so what you do is you have all these tables in this hall,
Hmm.
full city.
Hmm.
So the city of Hashaban, and it's you have different players playing in different parts of the city.
Yeah.
Everybody just unraveling this overwhelming narrative, this giant, great big narrative.
Oh, that would be fun.
Which then, as teams get killed and people die, you just get closer and closer to the center of the city, to the mystery.
Hmm.
You do it over an entire weekend, and you have whoever's left over facing whatever at the center of the city,
Whatever's lingering.
causing the mystery, causing the situation.
Mm.
And that sounds like
Yes.
something that would work really well in that.
That would be fun. Yeah, I love the idea. Really love the idea. I mean, one of the things we could get off the ground beforehand, which we could actually do, time permitting, is a D&D or like a role play session,
Yeah,
sort of
yeah.
online, you know? Because
Hmm.
I mean, in the current situation, that's something that's taking off at the moment.
Absolutely it is, yeah.
Because it can be done. That's the thing. It can be done over Skype or over
Yeah, of
Discord.
course you can. Yeah. I've got a couple of things like that I'd love to do with
Yeah,
time.
likewise.
Time's the problem.
That's it. Time and lots of other projects.
Even though I'm like stuck in the house and only
Mm.
leave my government-sponsored dog walk.
Right,
Yeah,
right. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, my sanctioned exercise for the day.
Yeah, right.
Big Brother is
Oh,
watching.
I'm coming out of this ripped. I'm telling
Oh,
you,
yeah,
I am.
I
I'm
know,
coming
I
out of
know.
this ripped because it's like, I mean, I'm actually not on lockdown because of the nature of my job. But
Yeah.
what I have found, because I've been spending more time at home, I've been doing more exercise, which is kind of weird.
Hmm.
A lot more exercise. I'm coming out of this like, newborn.
What, tiny and bald? That's
No,
weird, man.
no,
That's
definitely not like in that
okay.
situation. But
I thought you were making some really dark pact somewhere.
There's so many dark pacts going on. I lose track. That's the problem. I lose track of the damn things.
You've got this giant book of dark
Yeah,
pacts.
and it's
Oh,
difficult. I need a little familiar to help me keep track of them.
who by himself came to you via a dark pact.
Yes, exactly. So that just it's a mess. It's a total mess. The minute you start getting involved with infernal entities, that's it. That's it.
I like the idea that you need some kind of like adjudicator or something in order to get it all right.
Yeah.
Some it's like a dark pact taxman or something.
Yeah. That's pretty much it. You need basically.
Darklands revenue.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. This is the thing with infernal entities. Their contracts are always so convoluted. They're always so complex. I mean, you need someone to interpret them for you.
Oh, sorry. The idea of a dark pact lawyer has just absolutely broken me.
Well, the funny thing is, it's not out of the question. I mean, you look at
Oh.
the devils in D&D as opposed to
Mhm.
the demons. The devils are all about order. They're all
Yeah.
about law. and oppression. There will definitely be within the nine hells that the devils operate in. There will so be like the demonic equivalents of lawyers and of like office overseers and whatnot. Oh, definitely. People who keep track of everything. Jobsworths who are just sitting there with their forms, just ticking off every bullet point. That
If
will
time
definitely
allows,
be.
and we can do like a D&D style show, then I am definitely playing a demonic rules lawyer.
Yeah, yeah.
That would be. I would call him her Eustace B. Watermelon, and he would just be there going, No, that's the incorrect way to you need more chicken blood, a bit more, bit more, bit more. That's enough.
This is what devils are like. In D&D, this is what devils are like.
Hmm.
They are bargain makers. They're contract makers. They basically have an almost like religious / erotic association with contracts.
Okay.
And that's what they're about. They are order.
Hmm.
They're lawful evil, whereas the demons are chaotic evil. So they're all about like a lack of order. They're chaos. They're
Yeah, yeah.
insanity, and whatnot. But no, devils you can deal with. Devils you can actually deal with. I wouldn't advise it,
No, no.
especially not with any of the big ones like Mephistopheles and whatnot. You do not want to get involved with any of them because they will screw you every time. They will screw you, and they will do it in a way that you never saw coming.
Eustace B. Watermelon would work for a company called The Details Are in the Devils.
Exactly. That's exactly it. Yeah.
Oh, I've chuckled myself to death.
On the other hand, I mean, if you've got the choice, then you want to deal with a devil and not a demon. Because a
Yeah,
demon will just try to eat your face.
yeah, yeah.
Because that's what they are.
It always annoys me that Warcraft went a certain route with its lore. Because there was a point there where Warcraft's lore was some of the most interesting fantasy that I'd come across in years. The entire orcs are actually basically the Native Americans of the universe. These nature dwelling, at one with nature style creations.
Yeah.
The dragons were very much like D&D, were all elements and aspects of natural things, time, death, that type of thing.
So they're divine, basically. They're more
Absolutely,
like
yeah.
they're more like divinities rather than
Yeah.
species
Not
of creatures. Yeah.
not full gods, but yeah, the dragons were very much, the younger the dragon, the less of a form of aspect that they would take. So, like the aspect of time, very young dragons would just be able to speed up time, slow down time a little bit, just little tiny bits. Whilst the older that they got, they would have complete control and be able to step outside of it,
Yeah, right. Interesting.
play around with it, and because the way the time works, they were able to take memories and stuff like that. It's really interesting, but it's all been jettisoned now, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, that's Blizzard for you, isn't it?
Yeah,
not to come, not to come down too hard, but it's Blizzard, isn't it?
Oh, I can come down hard on Blizzard. How a company that lived on such goodwill managed to set fire to itself so badly.
I mean, I was a big fan of Diablo 2 when that first came out. I was a big fan of that game. I loved it to bits, but there's no way I would waste money on a Blizzard product right now. I've got to say, because I disagree profoundly with the way they work corporately. I just disagree with it profoundly, and so it's sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't bought Warcraft 3 Reforged. Yeah, my favorite game of all time. The game that I have played more than any other game ever.
Right.
I have destroyed Warcraft 3 about 30 times at this point. I love Warcraft 3. I think it's an incredible experience.
Right.
Every single time I go through it, it's an amazing experience. The way it tricks you into getting these high moments of emotional response.
Right.
Ain't touching it because modern Blizzard can go and just eat shit.
It's the same with Fallout.
Oh God, Bethesda.
I am such a fan. I'm such a
yeah.
fan of the Fallout games. Up until I even liked Fallout 4. I know people didn't. I even liked Fallout 4, but 76, no. I don't care now if they introduce a patch that's got NPCs or whatever. I just don't care. I am not going to legitimize their behavior.
Did you? I mean, we could spend hours talking about the mistakes Bethesda made with Fallout
Oh, well,
76.
it's been done to death. I mean,
Yeah.
like, it's boring now, isn't it? It's actually
Oh, it
boring
is.
now. I was following it for the longest time because I found it,
Same. Yeah.
there came a point where I was like, okay, let's go onto YouTube and see what Bethesda have cocked up today. And lo and behold, it was always, for about a year, it was daily, and it was
Mhm.
always worse than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
It's not just, oh, there's a little programming error in Fallout 76 that enables players to do this. No, it's toxic helmets that rot and that actually give the people who wear them like diseases that were sold as like items with the one of the Fallout 76 special boxes.
Mhm.
It's shit like that, It's like, oh my god,
It was.
Bethesda.
It was the one where, do you feel that you have been hard done by this release and would like to get some money back? Please enter your details here.
Oh,
Now that you've entered your details, we will now send you the details of everybody else who's
oh
done
my
it.
god. I mean, just
Oh,
unbelievable. And you know what? It does show you how things can change so quickly because, of course, Bethesda were one of the big after Skyrim.
yeah.
They were one of the biggest, most impressive game companies in the world, and not only that, they had loads of goodwill.
Oh,
Loads of
absolutely.
goodwill.
Yeah.
And they've squandered it all, unfortunately. I mean, the only Bethesda products I'm touching at the moment are the things that they haven't produced. Just the stuff that they've distributed. Like
Doom Eternal.
Doom Eternal, because,
Which even then they managed to
I mean,
wreck.
even some of that they've managed to cock up, haven't they? Yeah.
The DRM.
Not the game itself. The game
No,
itself is
no.
fine. Actually, the game itself, bloody hell, the game itself is absolutely spectacular. I mean,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
credit where credit's due. This is Doom all over again. They've really done. I mean, and this is not Bethesda. This is it's not.
It's
Yeah,
software.
ID Software, of course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. But the release, which Bethesda were responsible for, they've managed to cock up.
Absolutely.
Unbelievable. I mean, is it just a shower of incompetence? I mean, you can
Yes.
only assume that now, can't you?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's just people who either don't care or don't have the skills to do what they've been asked to do.
Right, right.
I don't know if it is incompetence or
Corporate,
ineptitude.
yeah, or sort of
It's
like corporate corruption.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
hard to say, isn't it? I mean, what's really amazing now is that it's applying retrospectively. So people are looking at the stuff that they forgave in, say, Skyrim and in
yeah,
Fallout 3 and whatnot, and they are picking holes in it.
yeah.
Even like retrospectively, the stuff that was really celebrated is now being picked apart because of the way Bethesda have been acting. It's quite incredible. It's quite incredible
I've
to watch.
I've always said that nothing new can water down an existing work
Mm.
unless it's The Dark Knight Returns. Um, but now I think I have to change that to nothing
Mm.
new can water down an existing work unless it was created by Bethesda.
Unless it was created by Bethesda, yeah, because people are now looking. I mean, don't get me wrong, I loved Skyrim. Everybody loved Skyrim. It was amazing. It was absolutely incredible. But you know what? It is a mess.
Yeah,
I mean, especially
absolutely.
if you look at like the original launch releases before it was patched, it's a friggin' mess. It's
Oh yeah.
unfinished. There are like the main story is pretty crap, as it is in most of the Bethesda games. Let's be honest. The only exceptions being like Fallout New Vegas that wasn't produced by them.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Mm. Oh, so
it's
good.
New Vegas is like right
Yeah,
up there. New Vegas it is the Fallout experience. If you want a Fallout experience, play
absolutely.
New Vegas
Yeah.
because it's amazing. I managed to talk my way through that entire bloody game. That's what I loved about it. In these games, I love smooth talking characters. I love characters that
Mhm.
have got high charisma. And I'm doing it in the Outer Worlds at the moment because the Outer Worlds was created, but obviously by Oblivion, the same people who created Fallout New Vegas, and it
Mhm.
is like all the best elements of the Fallout series with none of the bugs, none of the stupidities, just a purely brilliant game. But that's what I did. That's what I'm doing. My character is just a smooth talking sharpshooter, and I tell you what, he can talk his way out of most things.
That's awesome.
It's great fun. In fact, you know that the final encounter in Fallout New Vegas with Legat Lanius.
Yeah, yeah.
The big guy who's behind Kaisar's Legion, as they say, Kaiser. I love that. I love that. It's such a brilliant. It's almost like they got the imagery from comic books, isn't it? It's
Yes,
like they found an
very
old
much
stash of
so. Yeah.
comic books somewhere that had like Roman legionaries in them. It was like, oh yeah, or maybe like Asterix the Gaul or something like that, you know.
Oh, can you imagine if there was? Right, I am all behind the idea of making a post-apocalyptic game where there's society based around the adventures of
Oh,
Asterix and Obelix.
so much fun. But Legate Lanius, he is the hardest encounter in the game. If you fight him, he is a pain in the arse. He really is. But if you've got a high enough charisma stat, you can talk him out of it.
Hmm.
As long as you've done certain things in the game that place Caesar's Legion on the hot foot, you can
Yeah.
talk him out of it. And all he does, he talks to you, you do the test, you say the right things, you have the right options, and he says, fair enough. Fair enough. We can see that there's no benefit here, so we will dismantle and we will go. And they do.
Yeah.
I love that. I love the
Yeah.
downbeatness of it. I think it's brilliant. I think it's absolutely brilliant. New Vegas, guys, it's a stunner. That is the Fallout experience. It really is.
You can tell, ladies and gentlemen at home, that whilst this has been going on, the entire lockdown that's been taking
Mm.
place, we don't really get to talk to people that often.
No,
So
no.
we should really talk about some Games Workshop
I
stuff,
suppose we should. And stuff has been happening, hasn't it? So,
40
you
minutes
know what?
into the
I
episode.
just want to take this moment to say Kirioth was right. Kirioth was absolutely validated
Yeah,
at this point. War of the Spider, he got it. He got it
yeah.
so right. And I tell you what, yeah, Fabius Bile is referred to as the Spider, but that's an oblique shout.
Oh, it is, yeah.
He has not been referred to as the Spider in the main game ever. He's only been referred to as the Spider in Josh Reynolds' books.
Yeah. Oh, those books are so good.
Which are really good, by the way. Yeah, oh yeah, they make Fabius a character.
Oh, yeah. They make him
He's
into my
really
favorite character of
he's so
40K.
interesting. Don't get me wrong. It takes some good writing to make me side with a eugenicist. I'm telling you.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And he's the ultimate eugenicist. He makes Mengele look like a school nurse.
It really does. But the thing is, I don't think he's wrong.
No, within the confines of the 40k universe, he isn't.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah,
He,
within the realm of the fiction that he resides in, he's
mm,
not
he's
wrong.
not wrong. And you know what else he is in that fiction? The most legitimate heir to the Great Crusade.
Absolutely, he
He's
is.
the only character in the entire system who's still carrying forwards the dreams and ideals of the Great Crusade, as awful as they might have been.
Hmm.
Um, he's the only one. And he's so forward-looking as well. I mean, what I like about him is he's self-sacrificing. So he knows that he is sick, that he is dying, that he won't survive to see the universe that he gives birth to or that he wants to give birth to. He knows that. He is aware of it, but he's fully prepared to die.
Yeah.
Because also, another interesting thing about his psychological complexity is that he regards himself as being unworthy. Because
Yeah.
he regards himself as being a product of this failed experiment, the whole legacy of the Primarchs and whatnot, which he hates. He absolutely hates. He has, like Abaddon in a way, he has rejected that entire legacy.
Hmm.
And he wants something new. He wants to create a new status quo. In fact, he wants to create a new humanity completely,
Yeah.
which is, well, as ambitions go, it's pretty damn good. It's pretty. It's a big one. It's a big one.
I think what fascinates me the most about him as a character
Mhm.
is that every decision that he makes, people kind of look at him as if to say, "Well, what do you get out of this?
Yeah,
What is your end game? How
yeah.
are you going to win?"
Always,
And it
always.
and it's always down to the line of, "I'll win because I was right."
Yeah, yeah, and it's like, oh, he just shrugs and says, I won't. It's
Yeah.
not about me. It's about the universe. It's about reality. It's about
Hmm.
humanity and life. It's something you get with the Chaos characters that I find really fascinating.
Well, it's the same with Araman, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like Araman. They're utopianist. They're
Absolutely,
actually
yeah.
utopianist in their outlook and in their philosophy. Ahriman is carrying forward the sincere dreams of Magnus and the Thousand Sons when they were still loyal, which
Hmm.
is they believe that humanity can still be dragged up from its corruption. They believe that humanity can be elevated, that it can take hold of the warp and use it as a tool to
Yeah,
facilitate their own transcendence. He believes the gods can be tamed. That's what Ahriman believes. Fabius believes they can be destroyed. That's what he
yeah.
wants.
Now,
He wants the warp becalmed.
well, this is one of the reasons I mentioned in the Great War earlier, the war in heaven.
Hmm.
Because if you go down the route of the reason the Chaos Gods exist is because of the huge amount of death and emotional upheaval that took place during the War in Heaven,
Hmm.
it means that the Chaos Gods can be classified as being finite.
Yeah.
They didn't always exist.
No, they existed in Potentia.
Yeah,
There was always the echo of them, which is an
yeah,
odd thing because it means that Slanesh is simultaneously the youngest of the Chaos Gods, and yet they're all technically the same age.
yeah.
The
It,
potential is always there.
it's the way I kind of work it out as they didn't have an ego.
No, they didn't
You know,
have
they,
volition. They didn't have
yeah, yeah.
volition. They didn't have like conscious existence.
Hmm.
They're vortices, aren't they? Ultimately, they are sentient vortices of energy, aren't they? That's what they are.
Pretty much, yeah.
But they erupt into sentience when certain extremes of situation come about. So, like for Slanesh, it was the death of the Eldari Empire, and its descent into corruption, for example. With Khorne, it was probably the War in Heaven that did it.
Yeah, I think you're probably right there. I think Khorne, Nurgle, and Zeech all kind of happened due to
Yeah,
the war in heaven.
yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm just realised that on the Warhammer community site,
Mm,
right, looking at the picture of Fabius Bile,
yes.
if you scroll my mouse wheel up and down the picture of Fabius
Yeah, it
Bile,
changes.
yeah, it
It's
just
cool, isn't it?
moves from one to the other. That's
Isn't
fantastic.
it cool? That's a lovely little detail.
Mhm.
By the
But
way, guys, I love that miniature.
it's
I
amazing.
love it. I know. He
I
is.
don't get what people are saying.
He is contentious. People don't like the face. They think he looks a bit too broad. He looks a bit too sickly. He looks a bit too elderly. I quite like it. Because that's what he's supposed to look like.
Mhm.
He's supposed to be sickly. I mean, he's dying.
Yeah,
Fabius is perpetually
constantly.
dying. He suffers from. It's a derivation from a little bit of throwaway background in the Emperor's Children Index Astartes, where it talks about how early on there was an accident in gene seeding that almost destroyed the entire legion,
Hmm.
and that's what he suffers from.
Yeah.
What happened was those who were seeded with Fulgrim's gene seed became cancerous.
Yeah.
They died. They rotted from the inside out. And there's nothing that can stop it. And unfortunately, Fabius is one of the oldest surviving Emperor's children.
Hmm.
So he still suffers with it. He's from Earth.
Yeah, yeah,
He's
he's
Terran, which is
yeah,
really. Ahriman is as well.
yeah.
Ahriman is Terran as well. Isn't that
I've often wondered,
fascinating?
is that on purpose? Are the Terran-born traitor Marines the
Mm.
ones that have the most humanity,
Interesting. I'd be
or on
fascinated.
purpose?
I mean, I'd be fascinated now to know which of the other characters were born on Terra. Because I know Abaddon was born on Chthonia. He was born
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
same world as Horus was. Khan? I don't know.
I'm not sure.
I don't think there is any background on where Khan comes from. I don't think so, anyway.
Um, not off the top of my
I'm
head.
not sure.
I'm going to look that one up. I'm not sure about that one.
Lucius, I think, is Chemosian. He's from
Hmm.
Chemos, the same as Fulgrim. And Typhus is
Yeah.
definitely from Barbarous.
Yes.
Definitely, because he's part alien, isn't he?
Yeah. Yeah.
He's a hybrid character. He's intermingled with or whatever those bloody overlords are,
Yeah. Them.
whatever the hell they are. I mean, it's hard to tell. You get a little bit more of them in the Buried Dagger.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you actually get to see
Yeah.
what they look like and how they operate and whatnot. But it's hard. They still keep it ambiguous whether they are like metaphysical or whether they are alien or some weird combination of the two. It's hard to say.
So the big thing that people have been saying about the Mini, and I think
Mm.
it's worth bringing up, right?
Hmm.
People have been likening the face to
Vigo.
one Vigo the Carpathian,
Yeah.
Scourge of Moldavia.
But looking at the face and looking at it from a particular angle, I think I may be totally wrong, but I think there may have been a still from Ghostbusters 2 that was used as sculpting inspiration. I really do.
Absolutely, there was.
Because
Yeah,
it looks just like him. It looks
it does.
just. But you know what? I like the face. I like the character. There's a thing with Space Marine faces, and it's been a thing forever, which is they're kind of generic.
Yeah, yeah.
They all look a bit the same, to be perfectly honest, and they look a bit boring unless there's something really wrong with them, like Lucius, for example, who looks like a Cenobite. Um, there's a tendency for them to all look very uniform.
They've all got that slight giganticism
Mm,
look to them, yeah, which
yeah,
in itself makes people look very bland. That
yeah.
I realize how that sounds, and I don't
Mm,
mean it to come across like that. What I mean by that is that when you take the forms of a face with
mm,
giganticism, that massive bone structure,
mhm.
and shrink it down to the miniature scale, there's not a huge amount you can do with it.
Yeah, and I mean, don't get me wrong.
And it,
Generally, for Space Marines, that does work because they're supposed to look similar. You know, when
yeah,
when they're
absolutely, yeah.
implanted with the gene seed of their Primarch, then they start to physically change. They start to physically resemble them, such that some Space Marine characters really look like their Primarchs. Really look like them. It's very much the Alpha Legion. They all look.
I'm going to talk about the Alpha
Mm.
Legion later on this episode.
They all look the same, basically. You know,
Yeah.
the Alpha Legion all look the same, which is very deliberate.
Mhm.
Fabius, because he is dying, and because he's experimented on himself so bloody much, and because he has cloned himself so much, looks different.
Yeah.
He doesn't look like Fulgrim anymore. He used to.
Hmm.
He actually used to look like Fulgrim once upon a time, but he doesn't anymore. Very much not.
Do you know what really gets me about this miniature? That it just blows my mind. Like much like the oh God, Blood Angel's character that came out
Oh,
last
Mephiston.
October.
Mephiston.
Yeah, he has walked straight off the page of the
Yeah.
Mark Gibbons artwork.
Oh, that original artwork from the
Yeah.
second ed book, which is the best artwork of Fabius
Oh
Bile.
yeah, yeah,
It
absolutely.
is so striking with the black eyes,
Hmm.
where
Well,
he's just
it's
stood.
Mark Gibbons, that Mark Gibbons is
Oh,
an incredible artist. But
yeah.
it's interesting that they've done it again. They've gone back to a Mark Gibbons piece of art to
Hmm.
get the character just so
Just
right.
so right, basically.
I
Yeah.
actually shared a thing earlier on of the miniature next to the artwork, and
Mm.
it really is.
They've just copied it. Haven't they? It is just the artwork. You know what I like about it? They've taken things like the Chirigen, the
Hmm.
engine that's on Bile's back, and they've made it work. They've
Yeah.
looked at it at how if you look at the old miniature, it wouldn't have worked.
No, it's
It's
just a load of plates
the
welded together.
the arms were too stubby and wouldn't have been
Yeah.
able to reach forward to perform the surgeries that they're supposed to do. Also, they're too big. The blades and whatnot, they wouldn't have been able to perform surgery. They've been able to perform butchery,
Yeah.
but not surgery. Now, because of course now they can make them this fine, they've made them like surgical instruments. So they actually look like they could do fine work, yeah? But also, if you notice, the way they're attached to his backpack, they're on tracks.
Yeah, they
So
are.
they can lean forward. They can actually move forward and around in ways that they couldn't have before.
What I really like as well is the ends of his backpack.
Mm,
They're bending down slightly,
yeah,
as if there's a load of weight there that's just been there
yeah,
forever.
I
Yeah,
love that.
it's such a great
And I
just
also,
little subtle bit.
I love the fact they haven't put him in an aggressive pose.
Yeah, he's just
They,
walking with his stick.
he's just stood there looking disdainful.
Yep, he's just having a stroll
Hmm
with his real sexy boots.
And they've even downplayed the Rod of Torment.
Yeah.
It's much bigger on the original miniature. It's much bigger. Here, it's almost like a walking stick,
Hmm.
which I love because that works for Fabius. He is not a brawler.
No.
He's not Abaddon, he's not Abaddon, who needs to look really deadly and threatening. He's
Hmm.
not that. He's an apothecary. He's the Grand Apothecary. He's the Chief Apothecary, as
Yeah, yeah.
he demands that his servants call him.
I love that.
Still,
Yeah, everyone just like Bile,
Yeah.
apothecary.
Yeah, and the ones who don't like him call him the Spider,
Yeah,
which he
yeah.
doesn't like,
Or the Clone Lord, or the Clone
or,
Father.
or Manflayer.
Manflayer, I love that name.
Manflayer's a good one.
God, I love those books.
The other one he will also accept is Primogenitor.
Yep.
He
Yep.
will accept Primogenitor, although he doesn't like that either. He's chief apothecary. That's what he is.
Hmm. He's such a great character. It's
He
so good
is.
to see him get
And
this.
also, have you seen the blurb? What's going to happen in the War of the Spider?
Yeah.
So they're at long last actually introducing rules so that you can make Bile's contingent.
Hmm.
Because the problem with Bile as a Chaos Space Marine character is that he's not a Chaos Space Marine character. He's his own faction, technically. And
Yeah.
the characters, like the armies that owe obeisance to him, owe obeisance to him. They've got their own agendas that are separate from their legions, from their chapters, from whatever faith they belong to. So he's never really fit very well into any Chaos Space Marine army. But now apparently there are going to be rules so you can make his forces and make them distinct, which is great.
Oh,
My
that,
sincere hope is that there is some sort of rule or stratagem that allows you to make the new men.
oh,
So if you can
please.
take like a Chaos Cultist unit and upgrade it before the battle with a stratagem that enhances their statistics and gives them certain special rules that makes them
Yeah.
like the new men,
That would be very, very cool.
that would be amazing.
Yeah. Psychic Awakening has just been a
It's been fun.
stonker, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been fun. It has been fun. I mean, it hasn't. I mean, it comes in for some stick because it hasn't really gone as far as it should in terms of the narrative. And yeah, I can see that. You know, they haven't really like shook up the universe yet.
Yet.
That's the thing.
That's the important word.
It's not
yet.
over yet, is it?
No, we're a long way from being over.
It's not over yet, and we've still got lots to come. I mean, there's the War of the and also I was really surprised the Death Guard.
Hmm.
The Death Guard are in War of the Spider. That's interesting. And also, they're after Bile. They don't like Bile. Everybody in this book, apparently, is after FabIus Bile.
Well, yeah, because Bile keeps doing things to upset people.
He does, doesn't he?
Up to and including cutting the head off an immortal.
He does have this tendency for just narking people, doesn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Including Fulgrim.
Hmm.
Apparently, Fulgrim is really, 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 really annoyed with FabIus, but still wants to draw him back. He still wants him back as part of the Legion.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Well, you would, wouldn't you?
You would, yes.
Everything that he's got in his head is going to be of use.
It is. That's absolutely true. I mean, my guess is Phoenix Rising. I think it's going to be Fulgrim.
Oh, really?
Or part of it. At least part of it. Because, well, he's been teased in the same way that Bile was.
Yes.
There are all these
true.
allusions to what Bile was doing in the previous books. And if you look throughout the Phoenix Rising books, there are allusions to Fulgrim.
Yeah.
He's going to be there somewhere, either at the end or, wherever.
I really want to know what's going to happen with Logar.
Yeah, I mean...
I don't know why it is, but recently I've been thinking about Logar and where he is and what he's doing, and is he a big enough name to get a release?
Well, according to the Chaos Space Marine Codex, he's at large.
Yeah.
He is out there. He's not in his Reclusiam anymore.
No.
On Sicarius, and he's been there for 10,000 years.
Mm-hmm.
And the only person who's seen him in all that time is Abaddon.
Mm-hmm.
He opened the gates to Abaddon and no one else. Not Corphaeron, not Erebus, not any of the Dark Council, just Abaddon.
Yeah.
Interesting. Eh?
Yeah. There's something about Logar that the idea of him and his incredibly secular ways really interests me, and how that would work in modern 40k.
Well, his religious ways. I mean, he's like the Grand Pope, isn't he? He's the Grand Cardinal of chaos. If they introduce him, then it should be absolutely cataclysmic.
Oh yeah.
He should be something really special. He should be one of the only demon princes, demon primarchs that has the favor of all the chaos gods, all of them at once.
What I'd like to see him do is bring in a element of the Horus Heresy chaos. Because it's a weird one. I'll get into it now, actually,
Mm.
just because it's a nice organic place to drop it in. So I've been working my way through the Horus Heresy books
Ah, yes.
since Joseph was born, all on Audible because trying to actually sit down and read a book at the moment
Yeah.
is impossible.
A bit difficult, yeah.
I like the days where I get to finish my coffee while it's still warm. Uh, they're the best days. They're rare. So I've been working my way through it. I've just finished Deliverance Lost, and I've just started Fear to Dread.
Oh,
Right?
so the fight between Lorgar and Korax.
Yep. I've
Big fight. Big
oh,
fight.
Fear to Tread has one of my favourite scenes I have come across in the Horus Heresy so far.
And he does some damage to Lorgar, doesn't he? Bloody hell.
Yes.
Oh my god. Doesn't he end up like spitting him on his claws at one point?
Pretty much. But in Fear to Dread, my favourite bit of any part of the Horus Heresy so far has been Lorgar and Gilliman talking.
Oh, yes.
Wait, have you lost your temper, Gilliman? I will gut you. You have lost your temper. I love Lorgar's way of speech, and it's so good.
Lorgar's like that all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
He's like that all the way through. My favourite bits with Lorgar are in Betrayer, which you haven't reached yet.
No.
Ooh.
I'll get there.
Ooh.
I will say I find the Horus Heresy has got more slogs in it than really enjoyable moments.
Yeah, there's a lot of dross. You've got to work through the dross to get to the good stuff, basically.
Mechanicum annoyed me so much because every time it looked like it was going to get into the really interesting transhuman parts, it turned around and didn't.
Yeah, Mechanicum's a really interesting one because it's all fluff.
Yeah,
it's all fluff. It's all background. It's like a background book for an RPG.
It really is.
There's no plot.
No, there isn't.
There's no plot. It's just establishing where the Mechanicum are in the setting at that point.
I also have totally forgotten everything that happened in Mechanicum. It's ridiculous. However, I will say, anything involving the Alpha Legion has really got my interest.
Yeah.
I have come to adore the Alpha Legion.
Yeah.
I absolutely love them.
A lot of people do after Legion.
Oh, it's so good.
It is, isn't it? Right.
The Alfarius that's in Deliverance Lost. Well, he's not, but he is.
Yeah.
He isn't.
Who can say? Who knows? I mean, at this point, who knows, right?
Oh, it's so good. The fact that he's hiding in the Raven Guard. I've never cared about the Raven Guard.
Yeah, right.
Never, and they're brilliant.
Yeah.
Kovacs is amazing.
I love Korax. I think he's a great character, isn't he? And that's been enhanced recently with the supplement. The Raven Guard supplement. It's brilliant. It's absolutely stonkingly brilliant. It really is.
I really, really, really want to do an Alpha Legion and Raven Guard, maybe a pair of kill teams or something. I don't know.
Well, they are direct. They are sort of their equivalents in terms of their modus operandi. They're pretty much the same. They're just on maybe opposite sides. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows?
When it comes to the Alpha Legion, who's got a damn
Who knows? I loved that bit at the end of Legion. Where the Alpha Legion representatives meet the Cabal.
The Cabal, yeah.
Oh, what's going on there, eh?
Oh, man, the entire idea of you have to side with Horus.
Yeah. And are they still doing that?
I don't know.
Is that what they're trying to facilitate? Are they trying to facilitate the death of Chaos by serving Chaos?
I don't know, but it's so good.
There's also a line in... I mean, Legion is the book that also introduces the Perpetuals.
It is, yes. And I'm going to be honest, I find John Grammaticus irritating as shit.
Oh, John Grammaticus, he does turn up a bit.
I know. Well, he grates on my nerves.
He's a perpetual, so he will turn up perpetually,
Yeah.
But he has a line in Legion which is really interesting because he talks about knowing the Emperor.
Yes, because there's three of them, isn't there? There's the Emperor, John, and Ollie.
That's right. He talks about knowing the Emperor and knowing what's behind the facade.
Mm-hmm.
That shining warrior that everybody sees, which is like blinding like the sun.
Yeah.
Literally, in some instances. I mean, the people of Nostromo who looked on the Emperor when the Emperor descended were blinded by him.
Yes.
It's not real.
No, it's not.
It's a projection. And John Grammaticus doesn't tell you what's at the heart of the Emperor. He just says that it's horrifying.
Yeah, see, that really interests me. As time's gone along, especially with modern 40k,
Mm,
I've really, really started to realize just how much the Emperor is not the savior of mankind in any way, shape, or form.
no.
He is a gigantic egotist who would have been better off not doing anything. If he
Yeah.
had done nothing, humanity would be in a better
It
place.
probably would, yeah.
Well, chaos wouldn't have
It,
gained such a foothold.
no, well, it wouldn't have gained its most powerful servants, would it?
No.
The traitor legions are their arch servants, basically.
Hmm.
And the traitor primarchs are their chief angels, you know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, but I mean, that notion that the Emperor isn't as he appears has been carried forward through the series. So
Yeah.
in Solar Wars, we've talked about this before. There's that sequence where Malkador and the Emperor meet in like a psychic projection,
Yeah.
right? To talk about stuff because the Emperor can't talk face to face. He's too busy fixing what Magnus screwed up, basically. In the dungeons underneath the Imperial Palace, he's fighting off a horde of demons on his own, basically.
Hmm.
But the shining warrior, the shining figure, is Malkador.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in this projection, this sort of psychic projection, the withered, diseased figure is the Emperor.
Yeah.
I mean, what? What
Yeah.
does that mean?
I
What
don't
does that
know.
all mean?
I am really fascinated to see how it's going to end because we're going to get the familiar footsteps
Yeah.
of going on board Horace's
Yep.
flagship and that fight, and
Yeah.
Sanguinius will get his wings pulled out, and a lone Terminator, stroke Space Marine, stroke Perpetual, stroke Imperial Guardsman, depending on which version they're going to use,
Yep.
will turn up and have his brains boiled out. And then the Emperor will kill Horus and die. Yeah, that we know that's going to be the framework of it.
But
I don't think it's going to go like that.
I don't either.
I think that's how everyone else is going to see it.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's how it's going to end.
I don't either. I really, really don't. I mean, what they're doing with the Solar Wars, which are the last chapters, basically, it's the Siege of Terror. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's the Siege of Terror. They're looking at the scope of the thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like you see things from like civilian perspectives on Earth, how they're drafted, how they're transported all over the bloody planet, ushered onto these rammed trains where people are dying because there are too many people pressed into them. There are diseases, the starvation. They don't know what they're doing. They just weapons are just shoved into their hands and they don't know what they're doing. Some of them are executed because they fail. They try to run or they collapse or whatever. And that's great. You're getting a real sense of the scale of this thing, but it's also introducing complexities. So Sanguinius knows what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Sanguinius has this foresight. And he knows that he can't die because he knows when he's going to die. So there's a sequence where Sanguinius, against the orders, by the way, of Malkador and Rogel Dawn, goes up on the battlements of the palace and swoops down across the battlefield, ducking in between these orbital bombardments and these hails of bullets and whatnot because he knows he can't die.
That's really cool.
He knows he can't die.
Yeah.
That's not where he dies.
No.
And he surrendered to this kind of fatalism. It's really interesting. Yagati Khan, he is a really interesting character because he disobeys as well. He's supposed to be holding back to be like a last line of defense, but he keeps sweeping out from the walls with the White Scars and cutting through the traitor legions.
I do like the White Scars.
I like them now. I never used to.
Yeah.
I used to find them quite dull. But having read about them now, no, I really like them indeed. I like them a lot.
There's some stuff that's happened over the years in the background fluff which really made me like them. The fact that they've got this almost biker brother feeling towards each other. It's not the usual my battle brother.
That character-wise, they're very different.
Yeah, and I quite like that.
You know what they're like? Character-wise, they are like the northern tribes, the Chaos Marauders from
Yes.
Warhammer. That's what they're like.
Absolutely spot on. Yeah, that's exactly what they're like.
It's weird, isn't it? It's very strange. You take that archetype. It's the steppe people archetype, isn't it? It's the
Yeah,
tribes
yeah.
of steppe people like Genghis Khan's hordes and whatnot, Mongolia and all of that kind of
Hmm.
thing. And you transplant it into a different setting, and you get this really interesting, characterful thing. He's also very ambiguous, Ugati Khan, which I like. Nobody quite knows what he's doing or what side he's on, which I also really, really love.
Yeah.
He's had some
That's,
very interesting encounters as well. Like he had a bit of a fight with Mortarion on the ruins of Prospero, of all places, and that didn't turn out well.
no.
That really didn't turn out well. You've also got like really metal stuff. Like for example, the World Eaters are seething. Angron's madness. He's like, because he's a demon Primarch at this point. He's been
Yeah.
elevated by Khorne, and he's chained in the bowels of the Conqueror, the world ship that is the flagship of the World Eaters fleet, and his influence is driving everyone mad. The crew, the mortal crew, the World Eaters themselves. The ship is just a gore factory basically at this
Hmm.
point,
That's
and
cool.
he is just lunatic. Angron. They can't contain him. They can't contain him. He needs to make planetfall, but he can't because he's a demon Primarch, and the Emperor's influence is still quite strong.
Hmm.
So he can't make planetfall. None of them can. So what
That's
they have to do, they have to transport Angron. They have to goad him into a portal, I think it is, and they have to transport him to this Night Lord ship that has got this, like, in its bowels has got this labyrinth that's designed to contain a Primarch. And they
okay.
have to keep him there until this ritual, this sort of like vast planet-spanning ritual, is complete that will allow the traitor Primarchs to make planetfall.
That's very
It's
cool.
so funny. It's kind of comic in its own grisly, grim way.
Sticking with Horus Heresy,
Yes.
I think it's also worth saying that the Lionel Johnson Horus
Hmm.
Heresy miniature got shown.
Yeah, he did.
It's all right.
It's fine. It's
Yeah,
absolutely fine. He looks good. I mean,
it does.
the pose is a bit weird.
There's just something about the Horus Heresy Primarch
Mm.
miniatures that I can't get away
I'll
with.
be honest. For me, I'm not interested in the Primarchs from back then. I'm interested in what they're doing now.
Yeah, very much so.
I want to know where he is now.
But I will use that as a jumping off point to say, whilst working my way through the Horus Heresy books,
Hmm.
what did you think of the Dark Angel books?
The Dark Angels books are problematic. They introduce really interesting elements. Like the ideas are
Yeah,
interesting. The ideas are
yeah,
really interesting. I love all the knightly stuff. I love the details of Caliban. You know, the culture of Caliban. I like the fact that Luther is a good guy.
yeah,
I
yep,
really like the fact that Luther is the one who cares about Caliban and the one who cares about like what the Imperium is doing to it.
yeah.
That it's destroying Calibanite culture
Hmm.
basically, but they are problematic. They've got like in the second one, is the second one Descent of Angels? Is that it?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Descent is it? Yeah, that's right, Descent of Angels, or is it Fallen Angels? The second one,
No, I'm sure it's Descent.
Descent of Angels, right? In that one, there are two narratives that run concurrently. There's one where you follow the Dark Angels who are with Lionel Johnson off Caliban, and then there's the real story, the story that the writer obviously really wanted to write, which is the stuff on Caliban that
Yeah,
follows Luther and the Lord Cypher and Zachariel.
and it's much more interesting.
Much more interesting because that's the fun of it. That's where the real intrigue lies. The fact that Luther is doing things for the
Sorry, I tell
right
a lie. Descent
reasons.
of Angels is the first one,
That's
and
right.
Fallen Angels is the second. Yeah,
Fallen is the second one. That's right. And also you find, because Luther finds out, of course, that Caliban was always corrupt. There is something
yeah,
dark and corrupt at the heart of Caliban itself.
yeah. How cool is that?
Yeah, it's really cool. Really cool. And he also knows that if the Imperium finds that out, they'll destroy it.
Full exterminus.
Yeah, right? So he tries to keep it secret. And I understand. I
Yeah,
totally get that. He's looking at Caliban in terms of its people.
yeah, yeah.
And what he's seeing is the Imperium grinding the people down, shipping them off to factories and manufactoriums where they just, they slave away and die, basically.
Hmm.
The absolute destruction of even the topography of Caliban, where mountains are being demolished and villages and towns and cities are being destroyed, and the forests that were once so much part of Caliban are just being uprooted.
Yeah.
And I totally understand.
Oh, I'm with Luther 100% on
Yep.
this. Yeah, this is what the thing that annoyed me about these books is that every time it seems to be edging towards these really amazing moments, it backs away again and goes off to do Space Marine shoots.
Yeah, and what I
And
found
it
was
really drove me up the wall.
the stuff with Lionel. What you can do, just skip through the chapters with Lionel Johnson,
Yeah,
because
you get
actually
nothing.
you don't get anything from them.
No, you don't.
It doesn't even tie in to the other
No,
narrative, so it just doesn't really need to be there.
no, it drove me up the wall.
What I got with Fallen Angels is it could have been a short story.
Yeah, it really could have.
It could have
Yeah.
just been like a short story that was in one of those collections,
Hmm.
in one of those anthologies that they sometimes put out, because one of the narratives is completely pointless. The only thing I really liked about the narrative with Lionel Johnson is at the end. When
Yeah.
he's crowing about, in a single stroke with less than like a company of warriors, I have crippled Horus's rebellion. Me. And then it turns out he's talking to Perturabo. And you're like, oh, you're going to get your comeuppance, Lionel Johnson.
You're going to get it right in the face, mate.
When you realise what you've done here, when you realise what you've done, oh, is there going to be egg on your face? I liked that.
Yeah, I like that as well. Because that really was a moment that just made me stop and go,
Yeah.
oh dear.
Yeah. And Perturabo playing it so subtly as well.
Oh yeah. Oh, Perturabo's so cool.
Oh, Perturabo's a great character. I really like him in the Heresy books. He's actually really interesting. Very interesting relationships with the other Primarchs as well. Like he's very close to Fulgrim at one point, very close to Fulgrim. And then the relationship becomes very fractious indeed.
Yeah.
Particularly when Fulgrim falls completely to Slanesh worship. They're together a lot of the time, though. I mean, the Angel Exterminatus is a book that involves Fulgrim and Perturabo,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's really good. It's really good, actually. Also, Perturabo hates the warp.
Which is interesting.
It is, isn't it? He looks at the creeping corruption of Horus's legions, like the influence of the warp and superstition, and he hates it.
Hmm.
He absolutely hates it. But of course, at some point that is going to change.
Yeah.
Because of course, at some point he becomes that. He actually becomes a part of that.
There's always something interesting, I think, in inch by inch becoming that thing that you hate.
He's also, he's one of the most intelligent Primarchs.
Oh yeah.
He is
definitely.
raw, in terms of raw application of intelligence, he is one of the most pragmatic, and just knows what he's doing. The siegecraft element, he's a master. He's an absolute master. I mean, he's so intelligent, it's unbelievable, but also very paranoid.
Hmm.
And that
Massively so, yeah.
that kind of escalates as time goes on. At the Siege of Terror, he's losing it.
Hmm.
He's absolutely losing it. And a lot of the characters around him know it. A lot of the Iron Warriors who are around him, they can see it.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting. It's really fascinating. But that paranoia is acting as like a surge to his intelligence. So he's introducing factors into the Siege of Terror that Rogel Dawn would never have anticipated. Because he's going off-piste. He's not conforming to any prescribed tactic. He's doing crazy things that Rogel Dawn can't react to.
Yeah, he just sits back and goes, I did not expect this.
Yeah, that's what's happening. That's exactly what's happening. And it's throwing the Imperial defenders off course.
Yeah, because nobody's working to Gilliman's book.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's, I think, one of the most fascinating things is that they're also regimented in one way of thinking, that the moment that way of thinking goes out the window by people who know how you think, you can't react to it. You can't fight back to it.
That's exactly it. And
that's brilliant.
And that's baked in, of course, because you've got the influence of chaos.
Yeah.
It's baked in. You've got the warp. waiting to erupt. You've got the demonic legions, stuff that Rogel Dawn doesn't know anything about at this point.
Before we move off the Horus Heresy, I do have two other things I wanted to ask you.
Yeah, sure.
Because I find these fascinating, and it's what do you feel about the way that chaos is shown? The primordial annihilator, because I struggle to get chaos as it is in those first few books to fit with chaos as we know it now.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because it is more of an unspecified force, isn't it?
It is
the Horus Heresy books, until you encounter like the Legion specific books. So like the Emperor's Children specific books, well, it's clearly the influence of Slaanesh, and the Death Guard, well, it's clearly the influence of Nurgle. But it's also this. It's more like Chaos Undivided, isn't it?
It really is.
It's like a broader metaphysics than the four entities, the pantheon of the four. It's more like what the word bearers regard it as.
Yeah, this is what I mean. The idea of the primordial annihilator is something that really sings to me, and that's what you're getting.
It's pantheistic, isn't it?
So the question is, does the simple act of the Space Marines turning traitor then give the primordial annihilator the concept of chaos as we know it now?
As like the forms.
The four gods, yeah.
Yeah, the forms of chaos. Well, they do exist beforehand. I mean, there are references to them.
There are, yeah.
You know, the Davenite cults talk about them.
I want a series of books just based around the Davenite cults, because I'm fascinated by these lot.
I love the Davenite cults, because they know what they're doing.
They really do in ways that no one else ever.
Well, they are technically the architects, aren't they? Because they're the ones that drive the word bearers to fall. They're the ones that inculcate Corpheron and Erebus into the worship of chaos. So, yeah, the Davenite cults are the ones that do it. They're the ones that know what they're doing. The lodges, the warrior lodges and whatnot that they introduce amongst the Space Marine legions, which are part of Davenite culture, which ultimately end up being chaos cults, you know? The source of the corruption lies there.
I mean, even when you see the demonic entities when they appear, you know, they're not what you expect.
No, they are unspecified. So you get creatures like Samus, for example.
Samus is incredible.
Which is the Ruin Storm.
Samus is here.
Yeah, Samus is the spirit of the Ruin Storm.
Yeah.
So it's not beholden to any one god.
No.
It's an elemental entity. And the demons that come from it are also elemental entities. But you do get the specific ones. Like if you read Fulgrim, in Fulgrim you get demonettes turning up, for example. The influence of Slaanesh is very clear in Fulgrim and the books that follow. Likewise, if the Death Guard books, the influence of Nurgle is very, very. The Flight of the Eisenstein, it's Nurgle. It's definitely Nurgle.
Without a shadow. How amazing is that?
Yeah.
The sequence where the Marines see a Plague Marine for the very first time.
For the first time.
The very first.
Yeah.
And it is just absolute horror.
It's brilliant, because they're not supposed to get sick.
No.
They don't know what sickness is, you know. It's like it's an alien thing to them. It's like, that shouldn't happen, especially not to the Death Guard.
No.
You know, the Death Guard deliberately inure themselves to disease by like breathing in toxins and things, you know? It gets worse in the Buried Dagger.
I look forward to getting to that.
Because you actually see what happens to them when they're becalmed. And the disease, like the Destroyer Plague, comes and just ravages them. And it's horrible. It's truly, truly vile.
Shall we move on to some of the bits?
Yeah,
because I want to talk a little bit about Warhammer Storyforge.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm saving the best for last, don't you worry. So Warhammer Storyforge is showing two things: a trailer for Angels of Death, which looks nice.
Looks good. I mean, I'm into Warhammer cartoons. I've got to say, I'm into that.
And then you've got Hammer and Bolter, which is a anthology series, and they showed a part of a episode called Death's Hand, which looks gorgeous.
It does, looks good. It looks really good. I mean, these universes have always suffered when they've tried to translate them into visual media, because they've always had difficulties in pinning down the ethos of them, you know. But
Yeah.
these look good. I mean, they look like they fit.
Hmm.
They look
I
like
mean,
they fit.
between Astartes and Death of Hope coming
Mm.
out, you've got a bit of a run here to get
Yeah, I
your
mean,
own stuff to work.
I'm waiting to see when there's a Netflix series of some description, because I'm telling you, I'm sure it's going to
Oh,
happen.
absolutely, it's going to happen
I'm
without a
sure
shadow
it's
of a
going to
doubt.
happen. What it's going to
Well,
be,
it's Eisenstein, isn't
it'll
it?
be
That's
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
that's what
Eisenhorn,
it's
Eisenhorn. Yeah, yeah,
Eisenhorn. Sorry, not
yeah.
Eisenstein. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be Eisenhorn. Yeah, I've no doubt. I've no doubt it'll be something like that, because that's the way to do it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You tell the personal story. You tell like the Rogue Trader's story or something like that. That's the
Well,
way to do it.
in all honesty, what I really want to see is a Caiaphas Cain series happen,
Oh God.
because that would just draw people in all over the place.
Yeah, that would be fun. That would be fun. I mean, there's lots of scope. There's lots of scope. Gaunt's Ghosts, they could do that. That would
Oh
be
yeah,
fun.
yeah, yeah.
Gaunt's Ghosts would be fun. On the AOS side, things like Realm Slayer. I mean, it would just be The Witcher. You could just take Gotrek and Felix and use sort of the format of The Witcher, and it would work.
Yes, and if you really like that idea, there is a T-shirt on the Fluffenhammer T-shirt
Hmm.
design store, which is called "Toss a Coin for Your Slayer."
Yeah,
So if you'd like to go and get that,
it would work, wouldn't it? It's the same kind of
absolutely.
story. It's the same kind of ethos. It'd work.
To do Lord of the Rings stuff happened.
Oh yeah, Aomer. There's a
Yeah,
new Aomer. I'm impressed that they're still pumping this stuff out.
yeah, it seems weird, doesn't it?
I'm really
Like
impressed that
10 years after
yeah,
the Lord of the Rings films ended.
right. I'm kind of impressed, and there must be a fan base for it. There must be,
Oh,
because
there
you
is,
know,
yeah, yeah.
it's just not my thing, really. I mean,
No,
I'm not the Lord of the Rings itself. I mean, do not challenge me on the Lord of the Rings. I know this universe, but I know Mr. Macquarie. Yes, I know. No, if anyone could challenge me, it'd be him.
I feel that we need to get a Lord of the Rings pub quiz going between you
Yeah,
pair of you two.
yeah, right. I do have Tolkien encyclopedias, much to my great shame, and I have read them. But yeah, it's interesting. It's fun that it's there. It does feel at this point a little bit like a distraction from the main stuff.
Yeah, it was an odd one, but don't forget they're doing this again next Saturday.
Yeah, right. So who knows what that's going to be? Who
So
knows what's going to be in that?
I'm hoping that we've both got time next Sunday to sit
Mm.
down and record another episode.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and I'm also impressed that, like, given the current circumstances, that they're shifting, they're changing, they're doing this in ways that works, yeah?
Yeah, this is this is brilliant. Well, at the end, I was going to talk a little bit about how the fact that they took all the stuff they were going to release for Adepticon, and
Hmm.
they've managed to make a really good Saturday afternoon show out of it.
Yeah, it was really good. It was good fun, and they did it in a way that enhanced tension, it made people anticipate what was coming. It was good. It was well done.
They released an email way too early, which
Yeah.
told everybody
Yeah,
everything.
right.
It's all right. I like
Yeah, it's fine.
that. Should we talk Warcry?
Yeah, the what are they called?
The Scions of the
The
Flame.
Scions of the
The
Flame.
Scions of the Flame.
I
Unleash the flame within.
Well, like all of the Warcry warbands, they're really fun.
One is on fire.
Yeah, they're taking that whole flame mode. It's almost like they're saying, right now, we know that we can actually sculpt ephemeral stuff. So we can sculpt ether, we can sculpt smoke and water and fire. So let's have an entire miniatures range based around fire.
What do you feel about the design aesthetic for the armor and the clothing?
I really love it. I've got to say, I love these guys. Have you noticed the big guy's got a flamberger, the
Yep,
fire sword? That
yep,
is brilliant. A nice little historical nod. Real sword. Actual real sword.
yep, yep,
Named because it looks like flame.
yep. The ones that get me, I've been trying to put a finger on it.
Mhm,
There is something in the design of these guys, in
mhm.
the masks that they wear, that reminds me of something. And I keep coming back to Prince of Persia, but I don't
Yeah.
think it's Prince of
And you
Persia.
can't quite get what it
I
is. Yeah.
can't get it. There's some of them that look like pre-undead
Mm,
bone reapers,
yeah.
but I don't know. There's something there, and I can't get my finger on it. Something Turkish, maybe. I don't
Mm,
know. But I really like it because even though it fits into what Warcry is and all the stuff we've seen of Warcry, and my God, do I love Warcry.
yeah.
Oh, I am so far. up to date with Warcry.
Who doesn't love Warcry? It's brilliant.
It's insane the fact that I've had to like clear out a space in my cabinets so I can put all my Warcry warbands in them because I'm up to date with them. It's not healthy. But I love Warcry, and I love seeing the different styles of what these cultists and these warriors of chaos look like.
Well, what I like about them is they're not historical chaos.
Oh.
They're emphasizing different aspects of what that means.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that. I love that to tiny little bits. It's making it way more complex, way more interesting, and it's showing you that people live with chaos. You know, there is these are cultures.
Yeah.
These are actual cultures. They are civilizations. You know, they're not just rampaging warlords or anything like that. They're not just like nomadic tribes or anything like that. They're actual civilizations. I love that.
Yeah. It is. It's really cool to see because it gives you a nice little snapshot of both the cultures of these chaos cults, but also what the different realms of people look like.
Yeah.
How these different people live their lives.
Yeah, I love it to bits, and it's an interesting way for them to branch out aesthetically as well. It means they're not beholden to like the iconography of tradition.
Yeah,
They can do what they like. The miniatures designers can go nuts.
and do.
They have, yeah. Some of the most characterful chaos miniatures released recently have been the Warcry warbands.
Oh yeah, and that's why they made the entire Slaves of Darkness book all the Warcry guys.
Yeah, and I imagine these guys are going to be incorporated too.
And I do have to point out that as much as I hate the Fomeroid Crusher's name, I love the Fomeroid Crusher.
Oh, he's great, isn't he?
I have 3.
I like him a lot, although I do prefer the Sphyrinx or whatever it's called.
Oh, the Mindstealer Sphyrinx.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I love that. I love that miniature. It is so beautiful.
Goat Cat is amazing, and I want to make a Goat Cat for each Chaos Power.
Oh my goodness, a Nurgle one would be very interesting.
I've already made the Nurgle one. I just need to paint him. Obviously, the normal one is the Zeech one.
It's the Zeech one, yeah.
So I don't know how I'm going to do a corn one just yet.
Red, lots of red, lots of brass. Put lots of go Bloodborne. Go Bloodborne and stick blades in its back.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Like loads of swords all stuck into its back, driving it mad, frenzied with pain or something.
I think I'd probably rework the neck and head so it's leaning forward a bit more.
Or
so it's got more of like a...
Make it dog-like.
Oh, yeah, shrink the neck down. Oh, yeah.
Corn is the great hound, so...
It is, yeah.
Make it dog-like.
Slightly longer snout. Shorter neck, yeah. Oh, good call. Good call, George. Yeah, I like that.
Could work. If you were really feeling ambitious, you could make it a Cerberus. You could put 3 heads on it.
You get 2 heads in a box. That's doable. That's doable.
That'd be kind of fun, wouldn't it?
Oh, goddamn your eyes. Another thing I really wanted to bring up quickly as well is, did you see the Kislev stuff for the Old World?
Yeah, that really Old World as well, right?
Yeah.
It even looks like they've gone back to like the old style. It's so weird. It looks like old miniatures, you know?
It feels like the late 80s, early 90s Warhammer.
And if that's what they're going for with this, then fine, you know, that's kind of fun. It's fine. I probably won't be that bothered myself.
If they're going to do that kind of thing, I'm going to struggle with not just going nuts and buying all the books.
Yeah, the books, definitely. I mean, I want to know, what are they going to do? Are they going to, like, retcon some of the background? Because it looks like they are.
Yeah, it looks so.
Sigmar's going to have much more of an influence.
Yeah.
Than he ever did. Because he wasn't, I know it sounds a weird thing to say, he wasn't that big of a deal in the Old World.
No, you had his churches, and that was about it.
Yeah, he only became
the sign of the hammer.
He became a big deal later on when he was reborn as Vultan. And then actually became a guy, you know, he was actually Sigmar reborn.
If I had glasses, I would be sliding them up my nose and saying, well, actually, because I think you'll find that Vultan is just a second stringer runner, because he was originally born in the body of Conrad.
Conrad, yes.
Not that anybody remembers Conrad.
Oh dear.
I'm the only one.
Poor Conrad. Poor Conrad. But
With
yeah,
no, you get no ending.
to be fair, hardly anyone remembers Voltan these days.
True enough, yeah.
Hardly
More people
anybody.
remember Voltan than they do Conrad.
Yeah, yeah.
Conrad and Wolf.
I wonder, are we ever going to get a Sigmar miniature?
I don't know. I think,
I mean, the gods are already wandering around. There's no reason why not.
yeah,
If
I don't know.
Ilariel and Teclis and
Gosh,
Nagash can
good
wander
old Elder
around.
Bones, yeah. I don't know. There's something about the idea of having a Sigma miniature on the table
Mm,
that kind of breaks my brain.
yeah.
It doesn't feel right. It doesn't
If
smell right.
if they do him, he should be like Teclis.
Yeah.
So he should be like Sigmar himself should be quite small.
Hmm.
Big for a man, like
Yeah,
quite
yeah.
big, but not gigantic. And he should be with like the Star Dragon or something like that.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of the Drake that saved his life.
Yeah, something like that.
I can't remember, but yeah, maybe something like that.
Because that's what I love what they did with Teclis. I think he looks great.
I really like it. The problem with that is the photo that they used is too flat.
Yeah,
When you see it from the side and
he's
you see
gorgeous.
how he's hanging on there and how he floats, it's
Yeah,
my God, that's terrifying.
he's absolutely brilliant. I think he's a
Yeah.
beautiful miniature, and I like his voluminous trousers.
Oh yeah, his hammer pants.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant.
Oh,
Um,
I keep calling them the mistake pants
the mistake pants, yeah.
because he's going to go out, he's going to do something, and he's going to do it wrong.
I'm sure there's already mistakes being made. I'm sure the new book will be full of them. The Lumineth. But the more they bring out for the Lumineth, the more in I am.
Shall we talk about the Lumineth?
Yeah, why not?
The
Why
Lumineth
not?
have got some stuff I never thought I'd ever get this excited.
Well, they have and half got some stuff. I mean, I started to get excited about that mage
Yep.
that elemental mage that sat cross-legged,
Yep.
and
Yep.
it's just like they're really showing off.
Oh man, doesn't he look like he saw a picture of the old Slan and wanted to be one?
Oh yeah, and I'm sure that's deliberate.
Oh yeah, without a shadow of a
I'm
doubt.
sure that's deliberate. But of course, we've got that big new thing.
Yes, the Stone Guard, elves with hammers.
The stone. What the hell is it? It's amazing.
That's all right. I could sit here and talk about elves with hammers for ages, but I can't help myself. I need to talk about the MOOTAIN, the battle cattle. I need to
Right. What?
I need to talk about the fact that there is a giant mountain with a cow head. And
Right.
I fucking love it.
It's supposed to be like the elemental spirit of the mountain, isn't it?
And it's a cow, and it's great.
I love that, and I'm liking this whole elemental thing they've got going on.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It reminds me of Avatar, The Last Airbender, and I think that might be where some of the inspiration for these guys comes from.
It could well be actually.
I wouldn't be surprised when the book comes out to see certain influences from that.
Yeah, I can see
wouldn't
that.
be surprised at all, because elementally it's very much the same. But yeah, they're fun. They're very elaborate, interesting new miniatures.
They're just wonderful.
They are cool, and apparently they're very nasty as well.
Yeah, apparently so. Did you watch the Elf for Wealth video?
Ah, yes, I did.
It
was lots of fun. It was lots of fun, I've got to say. They did well with this release. They really did, considering that they must have been on the hot foot,
Oh yeah.
because Adepticon is big, it's the big thing, and it must have been difficult kind of trying to recover, to regroup.
Yeah, I think very much so. I think the fact that they managed to turn it around with such short notice is it's absolutely incredible. I've just realised something amazing.
What's that?
So, Top Cow with his Top Cow,
yeah,
with his like black stone and the red bits, right? So that like
we'll
call
model,
him the Cow of Destruction.
The character model, yeah.
Yeah. Then you look at the one underneath it, which is more like whites and blues and things. He's got little trees growing out of his mountain.
Yes, yeah, he does. It's cool, isn't it?
I didn't realise that yesterday.
Little bonsai trees. It's so cool.
I'm honestly, I love these guys. I think they're incredible.
I'm impressed.
And not just because of the silliness of Cow Mountains, which it sings to my heart in such a nice way, but just the sculpt and the detail in them is absolutely incredible. The weight and the heft.
Well, they've done it again. As I've said a million times, I'm not that interested in the Elven. Well, I wasn't that interested in the Elven forces, but alongside the Idoneth, the Daughters of Cain, They've really done it. They've really done it, and it makes me very excited to see what they do with the opposites. So the elves from Ulgu.
Oh yeah, I'm fascinated. I've got no idea what this is going to be.
Nope.
What I mean, who in the right mind takes, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to smush a cow in a mountain together.
Yeah, what was that about? I mean, I love the idea of the elemental spirit of a mountain being summoned, and like from
Oh
what I
yeah,
understand, from what they were talking about on the feed, these bodies are synthetic. They're actually created by the Lumineth, from magic,
yeah,
and
yeah,
the spirits of the mountains are summoned into them, which is really cool, by the way.
yeah. That's right up my alley.
It's very cool. It makes me wonder if they can do it with other elements.
I hope so. I hope that this is not going to be it, because
Oh, I shouldn't think so. We haven't seen everything yet.
no, because I mean this looks like it's going to be a big release when it hits.
I mean, for one thing, I mean maybe Tyrion is not an active part,
Hmm.
but we haven't seen Tyrion yet,
We haven't.
and
No.
we know Tyrion is one of the twin gods of
Yeah,
light.
yeah.
So is he a miniature? Can we play as Tyrion, or is it just Teclis and the other one, the Hollow guy?
Oh yeah, the oh, I can't remember what he's
I
called
can't
now.
remember, but he's one of the
Yeah,
old elf gods,
yeah,
or one of the old elf heroes from way back when.
yeah, yeah.
But he's very cool as well. He's absolutely stunning, considering the concept of the miniature that he's just hollow armor. Very clever,
Oh,
very clever stuff indeed.
yeah, it's sorry. I keep just looking at this cow and just thinking this is the best thing I've seen in
I
ages.
mean, I can really see a really fun army that's like all the elf armies together.
Yeah,
So if a little bit of Sylvaneth, a little bit of Daughters of Cain, a little bit of Lumineth, a little bit of Ideneth. Oh, that'd be so much fun.
it would be actually, yeah, and completely doable by using the Grand Alliance.
Yeah, completely doable. Which is something. I mean, that's something I love about Age of Sigmar as well. The fact you can use the keyword so loosely.
Yeah,
I like
yeah.
that.
It's why I've got a full dwarf army running.
Mm,
It's just using the Grand Alliance Duradin
mm,
keyword. It means I've got what I call it the mountain.
mm,
So you've got Fire Slayers at the bottom,
hmm
you've got the Dispossessed in the middle,
Yep.
and then you've got the Caradron at the top.
Yeah, it's wonderful because it means that you don't need one book. You know, you're not restricted to one book or one miniatures range. You can sort of mix and match and have fun with them and mess about.
Hmm.
There are certain books that absolutely encourage that. The Slaves to Darkness book
Did you?
totally encourages it.
I have to do it. I'm sorry. Did you see all of the names that people came up with for the?
I saw lots. I was reading the feed. I was reading the feed, and some of them are hilarious.
I made names. I made a list. So Burger King,
Yes, yeah.
corned beef, the Kapow cow, Teclis Longhorn, the Mootin Heifer Clegg Cane, Himalayan Heifer, Battle
I
Brahmin,
like that one.
um, Holy Cow,
Yes,
Battle
well,
Cattle,
holy cow, of course.
Yak Attack. My favourite one is the Beefer of Secrets,
That's good. Yeah, I
uh,
like that.
Avatar of Cow, Matterhorn, Divine Bovine, and Mount Muji.
It's just not going to stop, is it? You thought Fabulous Bill was bad.
The thing is, right, every single one of these I've seen, none of it's been, there's been no malice.
No, it's not negative. People love it. I
No,
think I think
yeah,
people
yeah.
genuinely like that miniature.
Hmm.
But it's in good humor, isn't it? It's in
Oh
very
yeah,
good humor.
yeah,
In fact, they read some of the names out on the actual feed.
yeah. Oh, it's so good. It just makes me so happy. So I think that's
Is that Adepticon or the not Adepticon covered?
yes, that's not Adepticon. That's everything that we've got. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
and there was a
it's
lot. There was a lot. I mean, one thing to look out for, by the way, ladies and gents, a little later in the year, new Fabius Bile book.
oh yeah, yeah.
What was it called? We've had.
Was it Clone Lord,
Is this
Clone
one called
Father?
Clone Father? Yeah.
I think it was Clone Father. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
looking forward to that massively. Massively. The first two are really good. They are well worth your time.
I highly recommend them. Really do. Um, so with all that being said, then we're going to try and get back again next Sunday. I think they do
Mm-hmm.
have a. Sorry, something keeps making a noise off to my side. I don't know what
Oh.
it is. Um,
Okay.
kind of spooky.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so they're going to do this again next Saturday. So I think that'll be worth if we can get it together, then
Yeah,
we'll
I'm
get
fairly
together and
certain that should be
try and do
fine.
that again. Because I think next week will be the big stuff, whatever that
I can't
whatever
wait
that
to
will
see.
be.
Can't wait to see what it could be.
So with all that being said, then George, what would you like to pimp out?
Oh, the usual, really. I mean, if you pop over to strangeplaygrounds.com, you will find lots of my fiction and articles and links to my published work. Please go and take a look, and if you do, please leave a review if you would. I'd be most gratified by that. You can find my written work, my published work on Amazon. You can find Born in Blood Volume 1, Essential Atrocities and Strange Playgrounds, and Born in Blood Volume 2 will be coming very soon. And you can also find me knocking about on the YouTube channel Exaggerated Elegy, where I do podcasts, let's plays, and all sorts of things. And also, you can actually get in touch at Enigmatic Elegy on Twitter.
There we go. Usually I don't have anything to really say. So quarantine has not done me good.
Oh.
So I've started 2 new projects off
Oh,
for
right.
for whilst this is going on. The first one is Daily Discworld to Live By, which every day I find a quote from Terry Pratchett's Discworld books and put it out. It's just a page, and it's just a nice little thing to keep me occupied, not occupied, to keep me engaged with things. Yeah, I don't know how much I've talked about it on here, but Pratchett's probably one of the most important factors of my life, and I very much believe that I wouldn't be who I am without those books. So I think finding these little excerpts and snippets and things and putting them out for people to remind themselves of is quite a fun little thing to do.
And if you're going to quote any author,
Oh yeah,
he's
yeah.
very quotable.
Oh yeah, this dialogue is unsurpassed. Multiple exclamation marks are the sign of a diseased mind.
Love it to bits.
The other thing I've done is I've started something with a friend of mine, Glenn. We've started something called Better Than Life, the good ship BTL, where whilst all this is taking place, we've got ourselves something called the Geekery Lockdown Podcast, which the entire point of it is to get people together. I know that this is a time where people kind of feel like they're very isolated from each other. And it is just a place where you can all go and just be stupid.
Yeah.
No seriousness, no heavy conversations. I mean, me and Glenn recorded the first episode on Friday night, and we spent most of the time laughing about how difficult it is to talk to Nikolai Tesla because he's dead.
Yeah, there's that. Apparently, even when he was alive, he was very difficult to talk to. So
yeah, it's even more difficult now. But on the plus side, apparently you do get a free stick when you try. You have to go and listen to that to hear the organic nature of me and Glenn losing our minds.
All righty.
And the other thing that we talked about there was combining Doom Eternal and the film Inner Space, so you can shrink the Doom Marine down to tiny. And shrinking him down to tiny is the scientific term.
He would still be as hard as nails.
Oh, absolutely.
He'd still be like eviscerating demons from the inside.
In this case, it's more like kickstarting the white blood cells.
Yeah, right.
So if that sounds like stupidity that you enjoy, it is literally... We pretended there was a topic, but we just went off on improvisational madness.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, it's what me and Glenn have done for 20 years. Yeah, at some point I'm going to try and launch the story of Sarah Connor and her first date with a man called Ducky, which is a long-running joke that we had way back when, and we seem to have made it into the narrative of Unreal Tournament.
Okay, fair
and
enough.
It involves the War of Crete, which is just a rock. There's a lot of yes and goes on between those two.
Right, clearly.
And I don't think I've laughed so hard in ages. So yeah, Better Than Life. It's a Facebook group, and you go and have a listen. You can find it also as btlpodcast.weebly.com. Go and have a listen. It's, as I say, it's nothing serious. It's nothing heavy. It's just stupid.
That sounds great fun.
It was. It really was. We've got topics that we're going to try and do. One of the topics that we're going to do is apocalyptic films, bracket, no zombies, close bracket.
Oh, interesting.
So no zombies allowed, nothing zombie-ish.
So like stupid, like 1990s apocalyptic films.
Oh yeah, you know the Stand is we're gonna have to talk about the Stand.
Oh my God, no! The 1990s TV adaptation.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Oh my God, no.
You know,
Where you been, East Texas? Oh no, no.
Oh, you know, we're just gonna rip the shit out of it. It's gonna be great.
Oh no, that's gonna be great fun.
Another topic that we've got that we're looking forward to doing is shit film great soundtrack.
Oh, now that's a broad church.
Yeah, well, it's
that's a broad church. That is.
So I'm looking forward to doing them. They're going to be good fun. So whilst all this is taking place, we're going to try and do that weekly, which is a tall order.
Yeah, right.
But hopefully we can get it done. And it's, as I say, it's like-minded people all getting together who, you know, this is a strange time to be alive, and there are few things in the world that are going to help you through it better than just stupid laughter.
Just stupidity and laughter, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, just poke fun at everything.
Absolutely. So, with that, ladies and gents, stay well, and thank you so much for listening.
Good night, y'all. Take care.
Take their load and cut their This is worthless. Why you might catch you up.